I'm starting to worry that there's not enough empathy going around in our teams these days. And empathy is super important. Research shows that when we are empathetic, when we can understand and appreciate the emotional state of our teammates, that our teams have higher what they call collective intelligence. We're just smarter as a team. We get better outcomes on a whole variety of different problem solving tasks. So empathy matters, but I think it's in short supply. Now, important to say, what isn't in short supply in some cases is sympathy, which is teams that kind of start to feel the same as one another, because emotional contagion can take a whole team down. So that's not healthy. We don't want sympathy where we kind of all have these mood swings as colleagues together, where we feel the same thing, whether that's kind of highs or lows. But we do want empathy where we have a little bit of intellectual and emotional distance from it, but we can appreciate it and understand where someone is at. So, the reason why we care about it is that when we have greater empathy, we're going to have less drama. And I know that sounds counterintuitive that, oh, if I make space for emotions, aren't I going to get the drama and the gossip and the whining? No, because emotions turn to drama when they don't have a healthy outlet, when people kind of enable them and don't work through them. So, when we can empathize and understand that emotions are there, but help somebody to work through them, we get less drama. We also get greater trust. And we know that teams that have greater trust have all sorts of positive things. They're more productive, they're more innovative, they have higher engagement. So, we want the trust that comes from your colleagues understanding that you care and you notice what they're feeling and what they're experiencing. We also, another benefit of being empathetic is if you pay attention, you start to learn what are someone's triggers, where are there, things in your own team processes that are creating more stress than they need to. You can actually learn and make things better by empathizing and understanding how the way you do things is affecting people kind of emotionally. So there's lots of benefits to it. So what if you're not really feeling it? what if what's going on for you is you've got a ton of stuff going on, you got your own emotions you're trying to manage, or you kind of think that emotions aren't really professional, they're not for the workplace. How do you think differently? Because I'm going to tell you, as long as there are humans in the workplace, there are emotions in the workplace. And the more we manage them effectively, the more effective our teams are going to be. So, what do you do? First of all, I just talk about emotions and think about emotions as another piece of data. So we often, especially those of us who think we're kind of a little bit more logical, we think there's like data and facts and statistics and evidence, and those are much more important and valid than emotions. Well, emotions are just another set of information, and they are the way the human brain works. We do make decisions emotionally, we process our world emotionally. So, kind of trying to deny that is not very effective. But saying, okay, I need the facts and the statistics and to understand the emotional state, put it as another piece of data. It can help you frame it as something more constructive and more positive. Next thing, don't get distracted by somebody's emotional state, because their emotional state is the way it is because they're telling themselves a story about something that is kind of even beneath that emotions, which is something they value, something they believe deeply, something they care about. And what they're doing is they're interpreting these sort of signals, emotional signals in their body, as some kind of a threat to something they value. So, what you want to do is not get distracted by the person having tears running down their face or distracted by the person being red in the face and yelling. You want to say, oh, okay, what is that about? So I empathize, I can understand that that's the emotion they're experiencing. But what's helpful is to figure out, where is that coming from? What story are they telling themselves? What treasure are they protecting? What feels under threat? And if you can get to that stuff with kind of questions about, how are you interpreting this situation? What's at stake here from your perspective? If you can get them to reveal the treasure to you, then you'll be in a much better situation to actually help them process the emotion and get to the other side of it. That is really, really, really important. As you are asking them those questions and trying to understand what their treasure is, what this, emotional state is about. Give them your hypotheses. Tell them what you are sensing. Now, it's really important that you not do it as a statement, like, okay, so you're upset because this. That can feel really, like you're overstepping. Don't do that. But you can throw it out as a hypothesis. So as I'm listening to you, it sounds like this is really for you about the fact that we don't have a project plan. There are a lot of moving parts here, and it feels like maybe you're uncertain about what's needed from you and what's coming next. When you put it out there, what's fascinating is, so you've shown you're empathetic, you've shown that you are picking up on the fact that there's something emotional going on here, not just something intellectual, and that you are going to make space for that, you appreciate it, that's great. But the other interesting thing is, if you put out a hypothesis, first of all, they might not even know yet what these big emotions are about. They may not yet have made the cognitive intellectual story about what these are about. So you putting out a hypothesis may really help them. And they are just as likely to say, like, well, no, that's not really it. And I think sometimes we don't say anything because we're afraid that we're going to get it wrong. But if you put it out there as just, I sense that, or is it this? Then if you get it wrong, the person's going to appreciate that you were empathetic, and they're just going to tell you, now that I think about it, it's not really, it's not really frustration. It's more, I'm anxious. Or it's not really that I'm anxious, it's that I'm anticipating that my team is going to be anxious. So as they clarify it, not only are they making more sense of it for you, but they're probably making more sense of it for them. So that moment of empathy is really going to make some safe space for them to process it themselves. The final thing is, when we get more empathetic, particularly when we feel these things kind of strongly and how aversive it is for the person, it's easy to want to jump in and solve things for them or to rescue them. And that is not being empathetic. And in many ways, that can be misinterpreted by the person as, you don't trust me, you don't think I can deal with my own issues. Who are you? You're kind of overstepping. So stay with them, stay beside them as they kind of move through this, but don't make the mistake of kind of taking the lead. If anything, just that sort of gentle hand on their back, but don't be gentle hand on their back could be, okay, where from here? Or what do you need? Those kinds of things, but don't rescue them. Don't, oh, I'm going to rush off and go get us a project plan. Solving for somebody is actually not empathetic at all. So that's a big secret there. So being empathetic, it leads to all sorts of really positive, business-oriented, productive things on our teams. It just is a matter of paying attention, being with somebody, asking questions, being curious, but it means the world to people, and you'll see how much it strengthens your relationships. So other tricky relationship issues on teams, check this out.